Welcome. We are about to get into a phenomenon that really has been everywhere in 2025. It's crossed from digital culture into professional sports, politics, even massive global marketing.
And yet, the fascinating thing, the core of our whole conversation today, is that according to all the sources, it means absolutely nothing.
That's the mission. We're going to chart the rise of the most talked about internet slang term, the biggest meme of the year, 6-7.
You've seen it written a few ways. Sometimes as the number 67 or 67 or a comma 67.
It's just pervasive. It's inescapable. And our goal here is to synthesize what all the sources say about how something so, fundamentally meaningless became so influential.
And why the speed of it all is really the story. It tells you so much about modern cultural adoption.
Okay, so let's unpack that and get right to the paradox. We're talking about a viral explosion that, it just appeared on platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels in early 2025.
It's the perfect case study.
It really is. And the sources are so clear on this one point. The whole phenomenon is built on the fact that it has no fixed meaning.
None at all.
It's a linguistic blank slate that millions of people just enthusiastically decided to use, like a universal exclamation point for anything.
And that lack of meaning is its strength. It's not a weakness at all. The sheer velocity of its spread is what really sets 6-7 apart from other memes.
And we can actually measure that velocity. We can look at how quickly the established institutions, the gatekeepers of language, were basically forced to recognize it.
That's when you know something is different.
That's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about major lexicographers here, dictionary.com, for example.
Yep.
They named 67 its 2025 word of the year. That is an astounding speed. Usually slang terms take years to filter up to that level.
It just speaks to the undeniable reach of the term. Dictionary.com couldn't ignore it. And their official definition, it perfectly captures the paradox.
They didn't define its meaning.
No, they defined its function. They described it as a burst of energy that spreads and connects people long before anyone agrees on what it actually means.
Because it's more of a social adhesive.
Exactly. Before it ever functioned as actual communication.
So it's less like a word and more like a shared experience, right? A piece of cultural currency that signals, hey, I'm in on this moment.
And Merriam-Webster, who are known for being very strict, their definition was almost, comically vague. They basically just conceded the point.
What did they say?
Their definition is simply a nonsensical expression connected to a song and a basketball player.
A nonsensical expression, a song, and a basketball player.
And that combination right there, that gives you the three key pillars you need to trace its genesis. The initial source material is everything here.
Which brings us directly to the musical foundation of this whole thing.
Right.
The phrase comes from the drill rap song Doot Doot 6-7 by the American rapper Skrilla.
And for anyone who might be less familiar with the genre, it's worth noting drill often features these really minimalist beats, and the lyrics are hard-hitting, very realistic, often focused on street life.
Conflict, location references, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. The genre context is critical here because it highlights just how serious the original content was before 6-7 was sort of ripped from it.
The sources point to a very specific high-tension moment in the track as the point of creation.
Yeah, the lyric that went viral is, I know he died. Oh my God, 6-7, I just bipped right on the highway. Bip, bip. And it happens right as the beat drops.
It's a really abrupt sonic moment. It's this rapid-fire sequence that blends a description of violence, a threat, or maybe just an observation of someone dying.
Yeah, it's ambiguous.
And then this evasion bipped right on the highway, which suggests a quick getaway or maybe playing it cool at a traffic stop, and then just dropped in this numerical interjection, 6-7.
We should also remember the timeline here. The song was unofficially out on some platforms in December 2024.
But the official release, the big push, was February 7th, 2025.
And as soon as that audio clip was out there, the internet immediately started trying to assign it a fixed meaning.
And since Skrilla himself didn't provide one, speculation just went wild. The first theories were pretty straightforward. They focused on geography, which is common in drill music.
Right, so people were connecting it to 67th Street in Skrilla's hometown of Philadelphia, or maybe 67th Street in Chicago, which is, central to the history of drill.
Those geographical theories are sort of the low-hanging fruit.
They are. The more complex theory, the more analytically interesting one, came from Taylor Jones, a linguist and expert in African-American English.
Jones proposed that 6-7 might not be a place at all. It might be a reference to law enforcement communication.
The police code?
Exactly. That's the theory I find most compelling, especially when you look at the surrounding lyrics. Jones speculated that 6-7 might refer to 1067.
which is the police radio code for a death, to notify dispatch of a death.
And if you look at the lyric that comes right before it, I know he dying, that 1067 theory lines up perfectly.
It really does. It suggests the artist is referencing a death, maybe his own involvement, and then the line about bipping on the highway is the narrator playing innocent during a traffic stop right after a violent event.
This interpretation adds this layer of, street knowledge and danger that is completely, utterly lost when the term is used by a kid ranking a Starbucks drink.
It changes the entire emotional register. It suggests the original artistic intent was dark, complex, and rooted in a very specific reality.
Which makes the later use of the phrase as just some random exclamation even more of a distortion.
And this brings us back to the crucial decision made by the artist himself.
Skrilla's own statement.
Yes, the genesis of all the ambiguity. He said, quote, I never put an actual meaning on it, and I still would not want to.
And that refusal to define the term is the key. It's what unlocked the viral spread.
Precisely. If Skrilla had just said, oh, it means 67th Street, the meme would have died right there.
It would have been a niche reference.
Exactly. By declaring a purposeful void, he created the perfect vessel. He basically handed the audience an empty box and said, here, fill this with your own cultural enthusiasm.
That act of refusing definition is, paradoxically, the most significant artistic choice he could have made for the meme's spread. So the phrase is a blank slate, but every blank slate needs a frame. And that frame was, at first, built entirely out of high-profile basketball figures.
Yes. The initial viral push was almost accidental, really. It was tied directly to the physical world of professional sports figures whose, dimensions just happened to align with the numbers.
The song is quickly picked up in fan-made video edits of professional basketball players. And the most famous early one was with NBA star LaMelo Ball.
Right, who just happens to be listed at 6 feet 7 inches tall.
Or 2.01 meters. The immediate numerical match gave the phrase its first concrete, easy-to-digest association.
It didn't matter that the song wasn't about him. The number just lined up.
That coincidence was a massive accelerant. But the critical transition, the shift from a pro player to a real viral celebrity, happened when the focus moved to a high school prospect.
This is where we meet Talon Kinney.
Kinney, known as TK. He's a high school basketball prospect, but he plays for a specialized program called Overtime Elite.
And for context, Overtime Elite is basically a professional league for high school age players. They get salaries, specialized training. The whole environment is built for social media visibility.
Kinney became strongly associated with the phrase just weeks after the song's unofficial release. But the key is, his moment of virality didn't come from a basketball highlight.
No, it came from something much more simple and relatable.
The clip showed him ranking a Starbucks drink. When someone asked for his rating, he just said, very casually, 6, 7, that's all it was.
And that's all it took. A combination of the known sports association, the sound clip playing, and this casual everyday setting. It just exploded.
That spontaneous moment solidified his nickname, Mr. 6'7".
And it quickly moved beyond just being slang. It showed the immediate commercial potential. Kinney leveraged this into a brand.
He launched a 6'7" branded canned water line.
Which shows you that the meme life cycle from creation to a commercial product can now be measured in just a few months.
The speed of monetization is something else. But the phenomenon took a significantly more complex and, frankly, a darker turn when it gave its most notorious face, Maverick Trevelyan, the 67 kid.
And this next phase is a necessary but a very sensitive point of discussion. It really highlights the destructive speed and anonymity of mass internet participation.
Maverick Trevelyan gained this notoriety after appearing in a Cam Wilder YouTube video. The title was, My Overpowered Our Team Has Finally Returned, and it was published in late March 2025.
The defining moment was the specific visual action Trevelyan performed. That gave the meme its physical anchor.
He was filmed yelling 6'7" while doing this very distinct and highly recognizable hand gesture.
Moving his hands up and down with his palms facing up.
And that gesture became the universal sign of 6'7". It was simple, kinetic, and so easily copied.
But once a child becomes the face of a mass internet meme, they often lose control of their own image.
Which brings us to the SCP-067 kid incident. This phase started around August of 2025.
This is where the cultural critique of brain rot meets analog horror. Social media users started creating photo edits that deliberately distorted Trevelyan's image.
In bizarre, surreal, or even grotesque ways.
Yeah, it wasn't just simple teasing. This was aggressive digital manipulation designed to be unsettling, directly likened to the aesthetic of analog horror.
And for context, analog horror is a subgenre that uses lo-fi, corrupted video formats like old VHS tapes or decaying digital files to create a sense of found footage and, creeping dread.
And the distortion of Trevelyan's image, making him look unnatural or monstrous, fit that aesthetic perfectly.
The meme was formally named SCP-067 Kid. This is a satire of the SCP Foundation.
Which, for anyone unfamiliar, is this huge collaborative fiction writing project. The Foundation catalogs these fictional paranormal entities, anomalies, monsters, objects using very clinical, official-sounding language.
So by labeling this child an SCP, they were treating him like an anomalous object, a funhouse mirror reflection of the meme's own chaotic spread.
And we really must pause here and acknowledge the nature of this. While we're analyzing the mechanics of the meme, we are talking about the image of a child being digitally twisted into a figure of horror and ridicule.
It highlights the intensely personal and often cruel nature of unchecked internet virality. This person became the unwilling face of a digital monster.
It's also worth clarifying a detail the sources point out. The digital anomaly created by the users has absolutely no relationship to the canon SCP-067 within the official fiction project.
Right.
The actual item, cataloged as SCP-067, is, a bit anticlimactically, a supernatural fountain pen.
Which just underscores that the name was chosen arbitrarily. It was purely to capitalize on the aesthetic and the existing naming conventions of the horror community.
It demonstrates that the engine of viral spread is perfectly capable of taking this innocent moment of youthful enthusiasm and twisting it into something unsettling and deeply personal. The momentum just wasn't contained by any sense of propriety or consequence. It just consumed and corrupted the image associated with it.
That momentum, once it was established by these human catalysts, carried the meme right out of digital platforms and into real-world institutions, often with genuinely disruptive results.
We saw a complete integration into the sports world flowing right up to the professional leagues. It wasn't just youth basketball anymore.
No, the term started appearing in NBA highlights, WNBA news conferences, NFL touchdown celebrations. It was all over college sports commentary and fan interaction.
The term had become the universal shorthand for excitement or achievement, completely divorced from its original numerical meaning. And we saw this captured perfectly when established celebrities got drawn in.
Yes, the source mentions former NBA player Shaquille O'Neal. He participated in a video referring to it, and he famously admitted on camera that he did not understand its meaning.
Which is a crucial piece of evidence.
It is. Shaq's participation wasn't about understanding the joke. It was about demonstrating cultural relevance. It was about being relatable to a younger audience.
The need to engage, even with zero comprehension, illustrates the meme's power.
And the phrase jumped completely out of its original context. It became a flexible placeholder for anything. We saw people on social media joking about getting a 67% on an exam or a flight delay of 67 minutes.
The number itself became this recognized arbitrary punctuation mark for any moment, positive or negative.
And one of the most surprising examples of its real-world integration happened in the political arena. We saw it appear in the context of lawmaking.
Indeed. Bill Buckby, a Connecticut lawmaker who coincidentally represents the state's 67th district, used the term as a joke during a special legislative session.
Just think about the cultural layers there. A state representative on the floor of a Capitol building referencing a drill rap meme with no meaning that started on TikTok.
It shows this incredible dissolving of boundaries between digital youth culture and, formal political discourse.
And while the political moment was kind of amusing, the disruption caused by 6 to 7 wasn't always positive. Because the phrase was so catchy and its gesture so simple, it spread rapidly in physical offline contexts, particularly in schools.
The sources confirmed this led to a predictable institutional backlash. The term became a source of significant classroom disruption.
Students were doing the gesture, shouting the phrase, disrupting lessons so frequently that educators felt they had to intervene formally.
Schools began issuing internal bans on the phrase and the gesture.
And the peak of this institutional clash came in November 2025. It reached the very top of government in the Keir Starmer incident.
The British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, was forced to issue an apology to a head teacher after he joined school children in performing the banned gesture during an official visit.
He was caught completely flat-footed. The context was totally innocuous. A student just pointed out that the book they were all reading was open to pages 6 and 7.
And the Prime Minister, seeing this opportunity for a quick moment of relatable fun, just impulsively joined the children in the gesture that instantly accompanied those numbers.
The fact that a head of state was compelled to apologize for such a minor, impulsive action speaks volumes about the universality of the meme and the seriousness with which educators viewed its disruptive power.
It shows that the gesture was instantly understood by everyone, even a visiting political leader, and that the controversy required a formal political response.
Beyond specific incidents and bans, 6-7 has become a cultural signifier. It's led to broader cultural labeling and some deep-seated societal commentary about the state of digital media.
This is where we analyze the perception of the meme, and the most common label that was applied to 6-7 was its association with the wider brain rot phenomena.
Multiple news outlets, Business Insider included, framed it this way.
Brain rot is a crucial contemporary term. It's used to describe digital media that's seen as low quality, repetitive, highly addictive, and often, nonsensical.
The suggestion is that consuming this type of content, like endless, meaningless variations of 6-7, is actively degrading the mental capacity of the viewer.
So viewing 6-7 as an example of brain rot suggests the meme is less a meaningful cultural product and more a symptom of digital exhaustion and degradation.
It's the media criticizing itself through its own audience, in a way.
Commentators also see 6-7 as one of the most visible indicators of Generation Alpha's growing presence in internet culture.
This is the demographic born roughly after 2010, and their digital native slang, which often leans toward the absurd and the nonsensical, is now shaping the landscape.
It's starting to displace the trends and the humor that were set by millennials and Gen Z.
And whenever a mass phenomenon intersects with a specific demographic, stereotyping is inevitable. The sources note that 6-7 quickly generated a distinct stereotype.
Yes, the creation of the moniker Mason.
Mason is used to refer to a stereotypical white boy who is perceived as overusing the slang, often annoyingly so, and performing the gesture frequently.
This rapid creation of a standardized, recognized cultural subset, complete with a name and a demographic stereotype, shows how quickly the meme created a social framework.
It's a way for outsiders or older generations to categorize and often just dismiss the incomprehensible cultural signals of the youth.
This entire trajectory, from a drill rap lyric to school bans and generational labels, made the whole thing irresistible to brands.
The commercialization was immediate, aggressive, and highly visible. Everyone was rushing to harness that chaotic but highly engaged youth energy.
The sources provide fantastic detail on how quickly corporate marketing moved to co-opt the phrase. We saw massive fast food integration almost simultaneously in November 2025.
And this wasn't cautious experimentation. This was a high-stakes race to capitalize on a fleeting but massive moment.
Let's break down the strategy. Pizza Hut, for example, sold chicken wings for 67 cents each.
And critically, that deal was only offered on November 6 and 7, a direct numerical tie-in.
Domino's took a slightly different route, linking the numbers to price. They offered members a one-topping pizza for $6.70.
With the simple promo code 67, the simplicity was designed to move fast.
But McDonald's in the UAE arguably had the most creative approach. They played with the numerical division of the phrase.
They gave away free chicken nuggets, but only between the hours of 6 and 7 p.m.
And here's the brilliant part. Each 6-piece pack they gave away actually contained 7 nuggets.
And it came with a special 6-7 sticker.
That is marketing genius. They didn't just use the numbers. They physically integrated the numerical split into the product itself.
It transformed the ambiguity of the meme into a tangible customer reward. It created this moment of shared insider recognition for anyone getting that slightly oversized nugget box.
The gaming world wasn't far behind. Those environments are often the first to integrate cultural references because their update cycles are so fast.
The mobile game Clash Royale added a special emote referencing the meme.
And they executed that move precisely after their Instagram account reached 6.7 million followers. They used the cultural currency to celebrate a corporate metric.
The major first-person shooter Overwatch 2 also announced they would be adding a 67 emote to their game, making the digital gesture purchasable and usable by millions of players globally.
And perhaps the most significant validation of the meme's mainstream saturation came from one of the biggest gaming titles in the world.
Fortnite.
Fortnite teased their new Chapter 7 with a direct reference to the meme on November 29, 2025. They use the cultural moment to massively boost excitement for their next major content release.
They essentially used 6 to 7 as the official hype man for their new chapter.
This intense level of brand saturation and cultural ubiquity naturally attracted media commentary and some serious critique. People analyzing what this all means for art, for authenticity, for culture.
On the satirical side, you had the animated show South Park providing its classic, immediate cultural mirror.
The first episode of Season 28, which aired in October 2025, featured a prominent plot point about children being brainwashed by the 67 meme.
The show continued its pattern of immediate targeted satire. They'd previously gone after other massive, often confusing online trends like TikTok dances and the toy phenomenon, Labubu.
So by featuring 6-7, South Park cemented it as a defining mainstream cultural moment of 2025, one worthy of immediate ridicule and social commentary.
But on a more serious critical note, Alphonse Pierre of Pitchfork offered a really profound critique that focused on the cost of virality for the original artist, Skrilla.
Pierre lamented that, in exchange for creating something that went globally viral, the artist himself had been severely reduced in stature.
Skrilla had been transformed into a one-dimensional mascot for a numerical phrase.
The core of Pierre's critique was that the artist was now viewed merely as the source of a sound clip, and not a human artist with music packed with complicated views and morals worth considering.
This is where you see the ultimate cost of that blank slate approach. By creating a term that the internet could endlessly reinterpret, Skrilla essentially sacrificed his own complexity for fame.
The global recognition is for the number, not for the talent, the complicated life experiences, or the potentially serious message behind the original drill music.
It raises a critical question about artistic integrity in the age of instant fame. Does the pursuit of pure, unbound virality inherently mean you have to dilute all nuance?
The ambiguity that allowed 6-7 to spread so quickly is the same ambiguity that erased the artist's personal narrative. The moment Skrilla refused to define it, he gave up control and allowed the internet to flatten him into a corporate logo for a nonsense term.
So we've established that 6-7 is arbitrary, widespread, commercially viable, and culturally flattening. But as we move to its legacy, we should acknowledge that numerical memes are not a new invention.
Right.
6-7 follows a lineage of specific arbitrary numbers being assigned a disproportionate cultural weight.
That's a key contextualization. The sources cite two classic precedents where a number was assigned meaning by a dedicated community. The first is 42.
From the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Famously as the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything.
The significance of 42 is deep, but it's defined. It has a meaning given by the creator. The second precedent cited is 47, an arbitrary number popularized by Pomona College alumni who became writers for Star Trek.
Yeah, in the case of 47, it became an inside joke, a recurring background number used in nearly every iteration of the franchise, from episode titles to starship specs.
So both 42 and 47 show that a number can be assigned great significance by a dedicated, specific community.
But 6-7's unique achievement was generating global, instantaneous significance without a dedicated meaning. It bypassed the need for a lore or a fan culture to establish its initial value.
It was purely momentum and association.
And naturally, once 6-7 showed the immense commercial power of an arbitrary number, that blank vessel attempts to replicate that magic followed immediately. The market quickly demanded a successor meme.
We saw several derivative numeric memes emerge, though none achieved even a fraction of the dominance of 6-7.
The first documented successor attempt was 41, derived from Lizzie Boy's 41 song, Sax Freestyle.
It followed the exact blueprint. Find a phrase, put it in a rap song, and push it on short-form video.
Then there was 6-1, which was pronounced 6-1, or interestingly, 6-Swan, created by the highly popular TikTok creator Spartan Swat.
So that attempt tried to use the creator's existing following to bootstrap the meme.
And finally, there was 56, pronounced 56, created by TikToker Young JJ. The rapid succession and subsequent failure of these engineered variants is crucial.
Why did they fail?
The success of 6-7 was a perfect storm. It was timing, a compelling musical beat drop, the ambiguity protected by the artist, and the critical early association with the right human catalyst.
Specifically, LaMelo Ball's height and Talon Kinney's accidental Starbucks clip.
You can't engineer ambiguity or cultural adoption. If the artist or creator is clearly trying to create the next viral phenomenon, the audience, especially a skeptical Gen Alpha audience, often rejects the attempt.
So the failures of 41, 61, and 56 confirm that the success of 6-7 was fundamentally accidental in its specific mechanism.
It gives the result. That perfect vessel for meaninglessness was engineered by the artist's refusal to define it.
So if we synthesize everything we've discussed, the music, the sports, the school bands, the brain rot label, the brand adoption, the 6-7 phenomenon really demonstrates the undeniable power of ambiguity combined with the immense pull of celebrity figures.
And that results in real-world disruption and immediate commercialization.
It is the perfect case study in our current digital media environment, a product of noise, confusion, rapid profit, and immediate cultural consumption, all contained within two numbers that mean whatever you want them to mean.
Until the next viral wave washes them away.
And as we conclude this exploration, we want to leave you with this provocative thought rooted in Skrilla's intentional withholding of meaning. If the meaning of 6-7 is intentionally kept empty by its creator, does the term achieve a greater immortality by remaining culturally relevant but functionally blank?
What happens to the meme once the original song and the height of the brain rot discourse are forgotten? Will those two numbers remain a timeless vessel for whatever the next generation decides to pour into them? Or will the void finally consume the term, leaving only the memory of the absurdity?
Thanks for listening.